You are listening to On the Record with Tiffany
and Kevin
on 9:30 a.m. The Answer.
Well, yeah, as descendants of slaves, where we're providing an unapologetic black first Republican perspective on health, business, politics, and culture. All right, Tiffany, lead off here on our first section here.
Well, let's talk about the need for self-advocacy and education in health.
Okay, talk to us more about that.
We established that we're on our own out here in the healthcare field.
No love for us in these streets.
When it comes down to your health, and this is across the board, you've got a lot of polarizing figures who talk about black, white, Mexican, who's affected more. Poor people really are affected more by healthcare disparities than any other group.
So explain healthcare disparities to us.
What do you want to know?
Yeah, like what does that mean? Like, so is it bad, worse outcomes? I know because we deal with this all the time.
We're having, you see worse outcomes, yes, in the poor, but it's because there are a lot of things that feed into that. Social determinants of health are a big, and you're going to hear that phrase a lot. You hear it a lot in discussions in regards to healthcare, and in regards to other things too. But social determinants of health would be things like transportation. There are those things that are sort of one-offs that are affecting a person's ability to take care of their health care.
Yep, and that tends to affect the American descendants of slaves more so than others, right? And just on a disproportionate basis. But it percentage-wise, yes. Right? But it impacts everyone. It impacts all Americans, right?
Yes. Well, when we're talking about diabetes, 1 in 3 Americans are at risk for diabetes. 1 in 3 Americans are at risk for for kidney disease. So those things, that means when we're talking 1 in 3, that's everybody.
Yep.
That's not any particular group. That's every group. That's not now there are when we say disproportionately affected, then that means that more people in that particular people group, i.e. African Americans, are affected by the disease progression.
Yep.
That's what we're talking about.
Yep. All right.
But we all need to be mindful of our health, with 1 in 3 being affected by at risk for diabetes. Diabetes is pervasive. Yeah. And we've seen diabetes and what it can do to us during the COVID-19 pandemic. So what are we doing? Because diabetes was the conduit that really helped COVID-19 flourish.
Yeah, because it's damaging our internal organs. Diabetes is at a microvascular level, right? Down there in the blood vessel level, it's causing damage. What are some of the things that our different organizations here in San Antonio are doing about that?
Well, I can tell you what Texas Kidney Foundation is doing about it. Texas Kidney Foundation believes in patient empowerment. Yep. That is the underpinning of everything that we do, because there's nobody that's coming. There's no benevolent benefactor that's going to show up and tell you what to do. Yeah. There's nobody. None whatsoever. Us. We have to be our own answer. We have to get together and form coalitions and be the answer that we need. So what Texas Kidney Foundation does is provides the information that we need in order to take back our health. Yep. And one of the ways that we do that is by providing free education programs. So we provide free educational programs for patients, caregivers, and their families. And one of them is called Live It Up.
Okay, tell us more about that.
So Live It Up takes place at the Witte Museum, which is 3801 Broadway Street, on September 27th, 2022.
Who are some of the people we're working with on that?
We're working with University Health. George Hernandez and his team have been just wonderful. We're working with those guys to bring this to you. We're also working with celebrity Reginald Ballard,
a.k.a. Brumman.
Brumman from the fifth floor.
Yes.
We're working with him. And with Bexar County, the Bexar County commissioners, we can't say enough about Commissioner Rebecca Clay Flores, and Commissioner Tommy Calvert.
Yep,
they have come out in full force. They have supported us with their platforms. They've supported us financially. They've supported us and showed up to our events, even when our events were not well attended. They've been there for us.
Yeah, and I think that's important. So let's talk about that, right? So, my big thing here, I do a lot of, I produce the show, and sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not, right? And so there's a lot of research that goes into that. And one of the things that just annoys I think I can say heck, right, for the radio stuff, that annoys the heck out of me with a lot of B1 people is the lack of activity that they do. They complain a lot, right? But it comes down, and I even see people say, quote, Malcolm X, by any means necessary, right? So by any means necessary to me means we get involved in ways that go out and form coalitions and in which people are helped by that, right? And I always like to think of, and they wouldn't think of themselves like this, right?
But by any means necessary means engagement.
Engagement.
You have to engage at some point.
Yeah, you have to.
Half the time what we see is people don't even bother to show up.
Yeah.
You provide the services, but people don't bother to show up. So if you're saying that, if your whole mantra is that you have a need, and we're providing the fulfillment of that need,
and the means in which to do that,
then you have to engage.
Yeah.
Now the onus is on you to engage.
Yeah, and on that, one of my favorite people is Killer Mike. I'm a big rap fan, if you don't know that. So Killer Mike is one of my favorite people, and he always talks to these people on the internet. He goes, "How are you going to have a revolution and you can't even grow your own food, and you're in bad health?" Right? And so that's one of the things, right? As one of the things of being in our country is, let's begin to take back our health and educate ourselves on ways that we can do that. And I really thank those two individuals, right? I thank
Commissioner Rebecca Clay Flores
and
Commissioner Tommy Calvert.
Yeah.
Commissioner Tommy Calvert, talk about putting your money where your mouth is. His Greenies Project. Just coming up with an idea, envisioning the idea of, okay, we can grow food.
Yep.
And then going out and creating the gardens to grow the food in the urban setting.
Yep.
And distributing it to the public for free.
Yeah.
That right there, that's leadership.
Yep.
And it's kind of leadership we need more of.
Yep.
It's the kind of leadership we need more of in this county, in this nation.
Yep. And then also with the other commissioner, right?
Commissioner Clay Flores, Rebecca Clay Flores, Commissioner.
It's a lot of words, right? You see, and I'm sorry, it's funny. My daughter tries to say her name, and it's too many syllables.
We talk about Commissioner Rebecca Clay Flores all the time because she's inspirational to young girls.
Yeah, and we're not kissing up to these two individuals, right? We're highlighting these two individuals.
I like them.
I like them both.
So it's hard for me not to say good things about them and gush over them because they really represent the finest that we have here in San Antonio and in Bexar County.
Yeah, and I think at some point, right, and this gets me back to my complaint, and Tiffany has been, I've been on the internet, right, researching different things, and one of the big complaints I have is this lack of wanting to be involved by
the apathy
by a lot of people who go around bearing the title B1, right, and then you need to get off the internet and come into the real world, right?
Well, there are a lot of people who are complaining about what's happening in this nation instead of engaging in the process.
Yeah, that's the big part.
Engagement is such an important. There's nothing wrong with voicing an opinion of dissent.
Yeah.
Dissent is what has made this nation. There's the ebb and flow of ideas, and that is what we are all about. That's what makes America great.
Yeah.
But you must engage. You can't just come to the table with a bunch of complaints.
Correct.
And no solution.
Yeah.
And not unwilling to engage in possible solutions.
Yeah, and even if you're engaging in with individuals and you don't think it's perfect, right? Which is the annoyance for me. People are looking for the perfect.
Perfection.
There isn't. There's
no perfection.
There are trade-offs, right? I go with A, I go with B. There's a trade-off between A and B.
Well, with anything, when we're talking about charting new territory, and when we're talking about things as complex as race, and as how we're going to engage with one another, then there's always going to be ebb and flow. There's learning on both sides. And you have to be willing to make mistakes. There's a saying in Italian, sbagliando si impara.
What is that?
Making mistakes, you learn.
Yeah.
And that is this process. Sbagliando si impara. You have to, there's no way to engage in a difficult subject without making some mistakes along the way.
Yeah, and I think health...
But you're going to have to do it.
Yeah, and health is one of those items that we really, without health, you really don't have a lot, right? And that's
none of the rest of it matters.
Yeah,
there's no
none
health.
of the rest of it matters. So the big thing for us is really, as Tiffany works with the Texas Kidney Foundation, right? It's pretty much our life most of the time, and the engagement, right? And it's one of the reasons I say we have to have people who at the seats of power helping make the decisions, helping shape and make the decisions. And health is one of those things. And I see you do that a lot. You do that really well. So I'm gonna do a bit of kiss up here to my wife, right? So one of the things that she does really, really well is she advocates, as my grandmother would say, she advocates for our people, baby. And she does. She advocates for our people, the American descendants of slaves. She also advocates for Bexar County at the state level, and then oftentimes at the national level in the areas of healthcare, right? And anyone who sees her coming their way, right? If you're on her radar, right?
They know what time it is.
All right. Yeah, they know what time. I love that part there, right? It's true, right? As though this is why I say, if you don't like something, right? You don't like the way education is going. You don't like the way things are going. You have to get involved, and you have to get involved at the local level, right? So when I say we are B1 Republicans, right, and we're unapologetic about that, is that we are, and we are out there advocating for our people because we believe that the Republican Party has the process. Doesn't mean it doesn't have problems. I'm not looking for the perfect. I'm looking for the mechanism by which we can act for the greatest good, one, for Americans, but also, in my mind, for African Americans as well.
Well, that's Kevin's view. My view is I'm black first because we are always the first ones through the door on everything.
Yep.
We are the first ones through the door on civil rights. We are the first ones through the door. We will be the first ones through the door on health equity. We are the ones who blaze the trail. And so, as we do so, we kick the door open for everyone else. And you can see that in the benefit that civil rights has brought to white women. So,
I love it. You're going in, aren't you, Tiffany?
No, I'm just saying that I'm stating the facts. That's a fact.
That is a fact. That is a fact.
And so when I come to the table pushing for things that are important and should be seen, I come to the table as what I am, an African American woman.
Yes, and it's okay to say African American to all those B1 haters on YouTube.
Now, I don't care what the B1 haters have to say to me. Say whatever you want to say.
And you have been listening
Get your own radio show and you can talk crap.
And you've been listening to On the Record with Tiffany
and Kevin
on 9:30 a.m. The Answer.